looking for talent. LSU going hard, but we beat Alabama, then we going out to Florida. Drown the Gators, everybody getting bucked when we step in the stadium. This the LSU anthem, you know it's a hit. You don't know another rapper two-step like this. See me screaming out the window, yelling purple and gold. I'm an LSU fan, girl, you know how we roll now. Back and back it on up. Hey, 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 way down in the back.
We are live back here in Tigers Avenue. Zach, welcome back as well. Happy Thanksgiving to you, and happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners and followers. We appreciate all of your support. Zach, of course, we're thankful for your support, right?
Yes, of course. Very thankful. As y'all might know, hatless Reagan is a sin.
Been hatless for a minute.
Yeah, Reagan.
Well,
no, in a while.
I wore a hat last time. It wasn't LSU hat.
But as y'all might know, we came across a year not long ago at the beginning of November.
Yeah.
So very thankful. Me and Rain got to actually go and visit some family yesterday and spend some time with my mom's side of the family. So that was good to get to see them. My mom is one of 5 sisters. Can you believe that? Pretty crazy. I don't know how granddad.
Bless granddad's heart. 6 women.
Yeah, he had
6.
Yeah, not like it's a bad thing. I mean, he had no guys.
He was all by himself.
He was all by himself as a guy. Yeah, like that's tough, bro. That's
brutal.
Tough.
Absolutely.
But we got to spend time with a lot of family yesterday, so it was fun. As I'm sure y'all did as well, and ate a lot of food. Reagan, I gotta be honest, Mom. I came home. I was like, hey, if you want some leftover ham or turkey, we got some. And I was like, no, I don't. I do not want.
Wow.
Because I could not deal with eating more Thanksgiving food. I'd already started eating it since like Tuesday, so it's been like,
of course,
4 days straight of eating Thanksgiving food. And I was just like, I can't do it. So tonight I ordered steak.
I don't blame you. So Zach, obviously we got to talk about it. Cayman Islands Classic. LSU was involved in that tournament this past week for the Thanksgiving. Like they always do these holiday, little tournaments.
Yeah.
Well, the Tigers made it to the championship game, played well in it, but unfortunately they come up short in the final game. And honestly,
tell it 2 halves.
It was a really crazy way that LSU lost. Zach, as you know, we were watching.
Which a lot of people couldn't because it was a weird stream.
Right.
For those of you that weren't able to watch it. Yeah, we had to stream it through an app called flowhoops.com, which I had never heard of. You had to pay a subscription. It was like, I think $10 a game, something like that.
Yeah.
I paid for it, watched all the games on the app, but a lot of people didn't get to see what happened. They just kind of saw it through social media. Yeah. Really weird ending.
Yeah, it was. I mean, LSU is down 2 with like 4.7 seconds left. You dish it in. You get an opening right down the lane. Trey Hannibal laid it in, clearly beat the buzzer. Was very obvious that he beat the buzzer. Oh, but in the middle of nowhere in this like high school gym, you got like this high school clock operator who didn't start the clock.
Yeah.
So everything that happens past the clock malfunction, well, not malfunction, the clock error is null and void. And so LSU's basket does not count, and the game was over.
Which is unfair, in my opinion. Would LSU have gotten it off?
No, probably not.
No, but here's the thing. They saw they had time, and so they were able to take that time. It would have been a different situation had the clock started. They would have been a lot more pressed.
Yeah.
And we really don't know what would have happened, whether they would have made it or not. Either way, it is completely unfair to LSU and to punish them on a game operator's flaw and mistake. So that's what's frustrating as an LSU fan. And it's extremely frustrating to have to suffer your first loss. But here, Reagan, let's be honest. The main reason that you lost was because your second half offense was terrible.
Nobody to blame but yourself.
It was literally, as I said, a tale of two halves. In the first half, they looked phenomenal. Offense moved great. They played great defense. They played great defense in the second half too. Fortunately for Kansas State, they just had shots fall when they did. It's unfortunate there at the end of the game that Trey Hannibal stripped the ball carrier. It rolls. Luckily, there's a scramble for it on the floor. Kansas State comes up with it. They pass it. They heave up just a turnaround floater that goes in right before the shot clock expires. A little bit of luck, I would say a little bit of luck there because of how scrambled it was to be able to pull it off. But great job by Kansas State to be able to pull that out. And ultimately, that's how you lose the game. But as I said, really this came down to LSU shooting poorly in the second half.
Horrible.
And if you shoot better and play better offense in the second half, you don't have to worry at all about the shot clock at the end of the game.
Yeah, no, you score 41 points in the first half, and you come out in the second half, and you put up 18 points. 18 points, Zach.
Yeah.
It looked like the offense from the beginning of the year. It looked like the offense from the beginning of the year. It was bad. It was bad shot selections. It was, poor decision making, unorganized, and just, it was frustrating to watch. And you have nobody to blame but yourself. You should have handled that game. Going into the half, you're up 41-33. There's no excuse to come out and put up 18 stinking points. Close game. But what sucks, Zach, is this is your first Power 5 game and you lose.
Yeah.
Resume-wise, down the stretch, that's not going to help you. But it was what it was, Zach. It sucked, but that's how it played out, man.
Yeah, it definitely sucked. A couple comments. Ryan said LSU got robbed. Worst case scenario, they should have redone the play. I agree. I think redoing the play would have been a better option. I definitely think that rule obviously hurts the team that is behind it and sets them back majorly. Golden Boot, I'm assuming this is Pooh Bear. Pooh said if you see the clock running, you shoot a 3 rather than a 2, your mindset would have changed. Exactly. And that's my point, Pooh. We don't know what would have happened if they had actually seen the clock running. But they saw the clock had not started immediately, so they knew they had more time. Hence the reason there was a layup rather than a jump shot. So unfortunately, that's the way it ends. Unfortunately, that's the way LSU loses their first game in the tournament. But I will say, Reagan, in this tournament, something that really impressed me was outside of that second half against Kansas State, the offense seemed to move a lot better, was taking a lot better shots. KJ Williams obviously dominated the tournament.
Yeah.
It seemed like really no team could stop him out of the 3 teams that we played. Which we played. Am I going blank? We played 3 games.
Yeah, you played Illinois State and then Akron.
Yeah, that's correct. And then Kansas State. Nobody could really stop him. He was a force to be reckoned with. The only time that he struggled was when he was in foul trouble a little bit, which he did get in a little bit of foul trouble in those games, but nothing major. So I'm excited to see how this team looks moving forward, especially coming off that loss and a very, very terrible second half of shooting and offensive output. But I think, once they get back in their home gym, those are things that they can work out and move forward with. And I'm excited to get to see that, especially we still have a few non-conference games here to work out. I fully expect and believe LSU is going to win those games and be favored in those games. So we'll see how much things get corrected before heading into conference play.
Yeah, and you're back Sunday at 2 p.m. against Wofford. Wofford. How do you? I mean, Wofford. Like, how do you say it? But you're playing them 2 p.m. on Sunday. You know, get back right kind of game. You know, and I had to agree with you. The overall, the last part of the tournament there really was crappy.
But overall, great.
But overall, you know, you liked what you saw from the team. It felt like there had been some improvements made, but there still needs to be improvements made. Clearly, like, some of the problems that we saw at the beginning of the season still linger at times. For something to happen where you have an 18-point half, like, those problems still exist, like the bad shot selections. So, I don't know, Zach. I mean, what do you think? What do you think prompted that? I mean, was it an adjustment by Kansas State? Was it, I don't know, was it something that LSU themselves were doing? What do you think, you know, prompted an 18-point half?
I think it was a combination of both. I think it was Kansas State tightening up on defense, changing the looks, and then LSU just having a hard time adjusting to that, honestly. Which they're going to have to learn to do, because they're going to face that once they get into stiffer competition. And when you face stiffer competition, it's going to be even more difficult.
Yeah, no doubt. I'll tell you one team that looks really stinking good right now in the SEC, and might be my pick to win the SEC is Arkansas.
Yeah, I agree.
They lost the other night against Creighton, but I'm going to tell you right now,
they look good.
They are tall, they're long,
athletic.
Freakishly athletic, like really athletic, and they played a great game the other night, tooth and nail against Creighton. Honestly, I think they should have won the game. I think there were some pretty poor calls on the refs. There was like a technical foul called on like an assistant coach, and
is that the one where Musselman got really heated?
Oh, Musselman was hot.
Yeah.
He was hot.
I didn't get to hear, but I was watching. I was at a restaurant with mom and dad, hanging out with them, and I was just watching it. But I didn't get to hear anything what was going on. But I did see that there was a technical foul called, and then I saw Musselman get extremely heated. So I was like,
he was hot. They called it on an assistant coach, and I don't even know what it was for. They never said why or showed why, and so it was like, you know, what happened? You know, so I don't know. I feel like they should have won the game, but that's just my opinion. But they look really stinking good, Zach. I mean, scary good.
I texted my buddy while I was watching that game, Austin Lewis. We call him Louie, and I told him that. I was like, dude, Arkansas looks really good. They look extremely athletic. They look like a team that's going to dominate this in the SEC. Because I do feel like the SEC is down this year compared to last year.
Yeah,
it feels that way. So it's scary to see these other teams in the SEC succeeding and doing well. And yes, LSU has had success, but there still is the process of having to gel and everything come together.
Yeah. So Zach, real quick before we start kind of moving into our discussion about Texas A&M. Obviously, we're playing Texas A&M this weekend, and we're going to preview that in our next segment. But there's been a few SEC games played already that have been some good ones. I mean, and some upsets. I mean, if you want to call it an upset. But, I mean, how about the Egg Bowl last night, Zach? Like, what a wild finish. I mean, obviously, you were watching it with all of our mom's side of the family, who are all either Mississippi State or Ole Miss fans.
Well, they're all state fans except for Grandma and Sarah.
That's right. Except for two, they're all
my aunt and my grandma. They're the two Ole Miss fans.
Yes.
Everybody else is state fans.
Yeah. So I mean, how was that? I mean, how were they reacting? Because you were getting a little bit of there's the Lane Kiffin stuff going on, but you were also hearing from some of our uncles that were like, we'd be okay if Ole Miss beat us because we want Leach gone.
Yeah,
we want Leach fired.
Which honestly, I didn't even know that.
I had not heard that
story. I heard that apparently there has been rumblings.
They want him gone.
Yeah, down in Starkville that if they lose this game, that potentially a move could be made. I haven't seen anything nationally or anything like that, but apparently that's what they were hearing, and they're obviously a lot closer in proximity than we are.
Yeah.
So that was really interesting to hear. And then obviously all the Lane stuff going on as well. That was obviously being talked about amongst family members. And the game itself was really, really a good game. I mean, very defensive game. I got to say, Reagan, obviously State's defense won the game in the first half when they held Ole Miss offense to 3 points during their spurt, which is what we've talked about.
Yeah.
That's what Ole Miss does. They score in spurts. And their offense is moving and looks really good. It looks like it's humming on all
overwhelming.
And overwhelming. They do that in spurts. Can you survive the spurt? And State did. They held the field goals during that spurt. And then they just locked that. And then Ole Miss offense plateaued, leveled off, and the State defense really controlled that game.
Yeah.
But it was a real defensive battle. And then, State could have easily iced the game.
Put the game away.
They had the ability to put the, which, by the way, I'll say this. I had some friends, a buddy of mine, ask me this question. I do believe it was a backwards pass. I do believe it was.
It was a backwards pass. Anybody who thinks it wasn't.
For those that need to know, it is where the ball is released. It's where the ball is released.
Clearly.
The ball was released out of Jackson Dart's hand at the 30-yard line, and I forget who it was receiving it out of the backfield. They caught the ball inside of the 30-yard line, therefore it being a backwards pass.
Clearly.
Now, where I will agree with Ole Miss fans and what Lane argued was the whistle had blown it dead. So there was conflicting officiating because the whistle, you had some officials that blew the play dead, and then you had the line judge that ruled it was a backwards pass and for play to continue. So the players obviously stopped, and State was there to just pick up the ball, even though the play had been blown dead, because there was no reaction on the State players other than just like, the ball's here, let me pick it up. Like, they just picked up the ball, headed to the ref.
Right.
And so I do agree with Ole Miss fans and their frustration of that, but it was a backwards pass. It was a backwards pass, so it's the correct call, but I don't know what you do with the play being blown dead. The inadvertent whistle, for me, if I'm an Ole Miss fan, I'm going to say the play's blown dead, so it should be incomplete pass, or at the very least, you ruled a backwards pass, but the play was blown dead, so we still maintained possession. I don't know. Anyways, that was confusing, but I honestly believe that they made the right call. With it being a backwards pass. And obviously, even though State was, the ones that just picked up the ball, I mean, they were the ones that possessed the ball. So per the rule, they should have the ball. And they gave them the ball. And then State, with the chance to ice it and in the game, chokes. And, it was a wet, slippery night, but
wild.
Will Rogers got popped. Great tackle by the defender. Ball comes out. It literally felt like, Reagan, it felt like LSU, Florida State. I told Dad on the way, like, you have a chance to end it. You have a chance to end it. You cough it up, and the team's got to go. The team that's down has to go 99 yards to win the game. And they have to score a touchdown, and then they have to continue. They still have to play the next play to win the game, or tie the game. Excuse me. So that's what happens. In the same way, LSU went 99 yards and scored 6 points on the touchdown. Ole Miss goes 99 yards, scores 6 points, but LSU needed the last play, the PAT, to advance to overtime. They get it blocked. Ole Miss needs the 2-point conversion to advance to overtime. And it gets batted down. So it was very similar. Obviously, not exactly similar in that aspect. And the game was in its 20s. What was the final score to the
22-24?
And the final score to the LSU game? 24-20.
23, yeah.
Very, very similar. Very weird similarities there. But the biggest thing that I was against, Lane Kiffin could have just ran the 2-point conversion play and had all 3 timeouts with over 1:20 left to stop the state and get the ball back. I completely disagree with his decision to call not only 1, but 2 timeouts to figure out what play you were going to run. And he said it was something to do with the refs and them substituting. I don't care. I do not care. You get up there and you run the play, and guess what? You get it, you're going to overtime. You have to stop them. You have to stop them, obviously, with 1:20 left. But you give yourself a chance to play overtime. Yeah. And then if you don't get it, then you're good. You got 3 timeouts. As long as our defense holds, you give yourself.
Maybe there can be some time. Yeah.
No matter the outcome, you give yourself a chance to still be in the game. Yeah. With the decision that he made, it was all or nothing. We have to get this 2-point conversion or nothing. Yeah. So I do not agree with Kiffin's decision there to take 2 timeouts to get a play call in. I think it was a dumb decision by his part, and State ultimately wins the football game.
Yeah, and it was just a wild ending. And the whole trash throwing crap started again. When the call was made about the backwards pass and, classic Egg Bowl finish. I mean, every year it feels like the Egg Bowl, something crazy happens. The piss and miss, like all this stuff. Great game. Yep. And then just briefly tonight, Missouri beats Arkansas. Mizzou beats Arkansas to become bowl eligible. That's
another L for me. I had picked Ole Miss and I had picked Arkansas.
I picked Ole Miss and I picked Arkansas as well.
So that's 2 losses for me already this week, which isn't great.
Yeah. And so, I mean, now Mizzou is bowl eligible, and
congrats to them.
Arkansas finishes 6-6. At one point, I thought Arkansas was like an 8-9 win team. If they pull something off, they could be 10.
I remember telling Louis 7-5, 8-4.
I mean, now you're 6-6. The Sam Pittman, glorification from last year may start to dwindle a little, just a little bit.
Which we have to be, we have to also recognize that KJ Jefferson was hurt for a lot of this game.
Sure.
He wasn't in the LSU game. He wasn't in the what are the other games I'm missing? He wasn't in the Liberty game, which they lost. Yeah. He wasn't in the Alabama game, which they lost. I mean, that's 3 big games, and in the Liberty game, they obviously could have won that. The LSU game was close. If KJ's in, is it different? All of that, I think definitely hurt. I mean, he was out a quarter of the season. Yeah. If you have KJ Jefferson the entire season and he's healthy the entire season, because he also played games unhealthy. He played games at not 100%. If you do that, I think Arkansas has a better season.
Yeah. I mean, probably so. Most likely that they do. But, man, to be 6-6, I mean, when I was there in Fayetteville, they weren't quite happy with some of the coaches. So, we'll see and watch how that plays out next year. I mean, obviously, I don't think Pittman's on the hot seat by any means.
No.
Or any stretch of the imagination. But, if something like that continues, the SEC folks get restless real quick.
Yeah.
As we've seen. All right, Zach, we need to move on, and we need to start previewing the A&M game. So we're going to hit a quick break real quick, and then we'll come back, and we will start previewing the matchup for this weekend. Final game of the regular season. We'll talk about it right back after this.
5-Star Hero, your intro and outro music for the Tigers Avenue show. They ain't ready for that LSU. Go check out all his other music on all the major platforms. Don't forget to follow him on Instagram at Saints Anthem and at Twitter at One Nation Doty. Don't forget to check out his Facebook page for all his Saints and LSU merchandise. Can't get any better than Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law. Her firm focuses on the needs of the elderly and maintaining their dignity throughout the process. Here for you, here for your family. Sarah Klein Stevens, attorney at law.
All right back at it. Zach, it's time to talk about this final regular season game.
LSU versus Texas 4-8.
Brian Kelly wrapping up his first regular season. here at LSU. Just want to remind some folks, this is Brian Kelly's first year, Zach.
Oh, by the way,
first year.
We have a quick score update. Sorry to interrupt you.
So score update.
14-14, Florida State and Florida.
Okay.
First quarter's almost over, so thank you for that.
Okay.
Also, Golden Boot said, I believe it was backwards as well, but the whistle was blown. If you play through the whistle, you can penalize. It can create all sorts of issues if you let it fly. I do, like I said, Pooh, I agree with that. Based on the rule, though, they made the right call.
Yeah. So, Zach, old Texas,
4-8.
4-8. For so long it was 8-4, but here we are, and they have 4 wins. Zach.
Look, as an editor and a content creator, I've been thinking about at the end of the game creating, like this, just this normal video of it saying Texas 8-4, and then the 8 and the 4 just go.
That would be.
It'd be funny.
Hilarious.
It'd be hilarious. Yeah. So I don't know. We'll see.
With that being said, though, I want to finish strong.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to come into this like thinking we're just going to bulldoze these guys.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care what we say about Jimbo Fisher. I don't care what we say about their record. I don't care what we say about his tenure there and his comparison to Kevin Sumlin. I don't care. Guys, we can make fun of them about the recruiting class, and it's become really crappy like this, but there's some talented players, and they marched into Tuscaloosa and dang near beat them on their own field. Now, I don't know if Bryce Young out of that game?
Oh, yes, he was.
Okay, so he was out of the game.
And Milroe turned the ball over 3 times.
Okay.
And
so,
gave it to Texas A&M in Alabama territory.
That gave A&M clearly a way better chance than it probably would have been with Bryce Young. It probably been a blowout. But, hey, you're coming into Kyle Field, and they ain't got crap to lose.
Nope.
They ain't got nothing to lose. They ain't going to a bowl game. This is all they got.
This is
your final game. LSU better come ready to play, because if you're not, they might just catch you off guard.
I agree.
I'm not worried about this game, but I want us to be prepared for this game. I do not want to overlook this game at all. We've got too much on the freaking line to go and blow it in Kyle Field.
Gosh.
You have an opportunity, Brian Kelly's first year, to go to Atlanta, play the top team in the nation, and put yourself in the playoff picture. Do not come into this game expecting to bulldoze. Don't do it, because you'll get caught off guard. Come into this game, treat it like any other game.
Treat it like the SEC championship, because guess what? The SEC championship will not matter if you lose this game.
It won't. So treat it like any other game and go get the stinking job done. Get the job done. That's kind of my opening little thing there, Zach. I know that has no analytics at all.
No, I'm with you.
But
I'm definitely with you.
I'm not going to sit here and be like A&M sucks. We're going to roll over them, because we know better.
Yeah.
We come into Fayetteville and it's a 10-13 game.
Gosh.
Against backup quarterbacks.
And we're joking. We're messing around saying 4-8, but you're right. You got to take it serious.
I don't care who it is. I don't care. It's the SEC West. Jimbo Fisher isn't just a complete dunce. Like, he's got the ability to coach, and they have talented guys. And if you get caught sleeping, it could be a problem, and you could screw up so much opportunity that you have. So go in with the right mind and take care of business. With that being said, Zach, obviously we need to talk a little bit more from an analytical perspective. What are your thoughts initially, Zach, about this matchup?
Well, I heard someone say it, but I think, when you look at really that both teams as a whole, I don't think there's anywhere that, A&M has an edge, honestly. I think LSU has an edge just about everywhere. I mean, if you want to look at just not position matchups, but just position groups compared to each other, I think that Texas A&M probably has an edge at running back. Obviously, Devon
Yeah.
Achane is a phenomenal player.
Is he available?
Is he available? That's the question. Which I'm pretty positive. I'm almost 100% that he will be playing this game. Also, Evan Stewart will be back. So I fully expect this team to be healthy and ready to go. But that's going to be something to keep an eye on, as Devon Achane and Evan Stewart, who are two of the biggest playmakers, are going to be back and should be healthy. How healthy are they? That's a good question. But should be back and playing in this game. So they're gonna come at us with their best punch. It's gonna be nerve wracking. I think in the beginning. I think that LSU, again, I want to say I want to see them continue to attack the ball or attack downfield.
Yes.
With the deep ball, because they did pretty well with that and trying to get some of that going against UAB.
Right.
But I want to see it against a Power 5 good opponent,
SEC team,
team like A&M, because as you said, make no mistake about it. Yes, they have had a terrible season. They have looked bad. They are a broken football team, but they're talented, as everybody has said. And I think a lot of people know that they are very
young
talented.
talent.
And even Ryan said, they're good on the defensive line. That's true. They have a lot of very good young talent. So, and they're going to be motivated, as you've already alluded to. But I want to see LSU dominate the line of scrimmage, obviously, and I think they can win this game. I don't think weather's going to be a factor, which we know the last two games, the weather's been the factor. It was cold and freezing and
raining.
And raining. And then, against UAB, it was cold and freezing and raining. So against both those teams, you had to face the weather. Which is actually interesting. Let's go look at that. What is the weather?
It is actually really nice. I think I saw the weather update from LSU. It was like it's going to be like a 66-degree game.
Okay, so it should be pretty nice.
Nice day.
Let's see. Here it is, right here. Should be around 58 degrees and just cloudy. So good. So maybe a little chilly for LSU, but and A&M. So we'll see. I don't think the weather's going to affect it at all, as it has the last two games. The other thing, Reagan, is obviously that the stadium is going to show up. I know that it hasn't been the season that they have wanted, but it's the last game. It's the last game of the season. Period. It's a home game for them. Home field advantage. They're going to pack it out, and obviously we know that environment is weird. It's crazy. We had to struggle to watch the last two times that they've gone there, LSU lose. Obviously, in the season where LSU did not look good at all, you had TJ Finley playing the game, and I can't remember. I know there was arguments. I think that game was they were contemplating whether Max or TJ was going to play.
Yeah, it was just a crappy game.
It was and you played them close. It was a very defensive, low-scoring game, but ultimately A&M wins. And then against them in 2018, we obviously know that was absolutely awful. The terrible calls, the 7 overtimes, that was a whole ordeal.
I've never gotten over that.
Yeah, I still haven't gotten over that this day. We actually had a conversation with a bunch of my buddies. I'm on this thread with my buddies, and they ask a question every day. It's like a question of the day or whatever. And the other day they asked, what are some moments in history where you remember that the refs just screwed the game? And one of my buddies took the and I'm like this. One of my buddies took the stance that he doesn't really try and focus on the refs and them blowing games so much because he feels like a lot of times it's blown out of proportion, and I agree
most of the time.
But I can remember, I told him I remember a time where the refs completely affected the outcome of the game, and that was one of those was Texas A&M LSU in 2018. Now the other one was, I think it was 2016, maybe 2014, LSU Notre Dame, when Cragthorpe, they faked the field goal and he crossed the line of scrimmage and refs ruled him
I thought
short
that was Jared
both
Lee.
times. No, that was Notre Dame. It was the Citrus Bowl or whatever. I can't remember, honestly. But that they got screwed that time, and then obviously the Patrick Peterson 2008 interception. So I mentioned a few of those, because even though I agree with him that I don't think refs really affect the outcome of games as much as some people believe.
Right.
They do definitely affect the outcome of games at certain points and can hurt teams. So, we got to go into College Station. We're gonna have to fight. We're gonna have to fight the crowd. We're gonna have to fight maybe the refs. I don't know. I hope not. Good grief, I hope not. But
let's hope not.
But it's. I'm with you. I don't think that this is going to be a cakewalk for LSU because A&M is going to come hungry and ready to win. And I think if LSU takes on that mentality of looking ahead to Georgia, then we're going to be facing a similar game like the Arkansas game. And now if they come into this fully motivated and ready to play and, expecting to get A&M's best game, and that's the mentality they have, I think it would be more of a dominant win fashion than, like we're expecting and hoping. But you got to be careful. The mentality in this game is definitely the biggest factor in this game for me.
Yeah, I no question about it. Look, I think where they got you is their running backs, and I think you mentioned that. Not even their running backs, they're running back.
Yeah.
And Achin, I mean, he is their offense.
Yes.
I mean, without them last week, Zach, they could only put up 20 points against UMass.
Yeah.
The offense is just not there and has not the entire year. Achin has carried them completely in some games. Almost won them the Appalachian State game. I mean, it's crazy to think that they are where they are, but make no mistake about it. You got to be ready for this game. I really like our receivers to have a good game. And I also think Josh Williams, we're coming back off of maybe a rest week, a minor injury. I think Josh Williams is going to have a big game, and I think our receiving core as a whole may take a big step in this game. I really do. I love the asserted effort last week to get the ball downfield. In the Arkansas game, it felt like maybe Jaden had a little bit fallen back into what he had done in the earlier season, was scared to let it loose. Clearly that wasn't the problem last week with UAB. Let that, play over into the next week. Let that ball fly, man. I think, we have excellent receivers that can go up and make catches against Elias Ricks. And that they can do it against A&M receivers, right? Or DB, excuse me. And I think Josh Williams coming back is going to have a great game. I'm excited for Josh Williams this game. I'm going to make a bold prediction here. I think Josh Williams gets 2 touchdowns.
Okay.
2 touchdowns in this game.
I like it.
If you stop, this is kind of like, I mean, I don't know if I want to say UAB, but it's similar. If you stop Achin, I don't even know if we're saying that right. Devin. If you stop Devin, or is it Devon? I don't know. If you stop their running back, you're probably going to win this game.
Yeah.
And you may win it pretty handily if you come in with the right mind. And Brian Kelly has preached this. You got to think right. You got to prepare right. And if you're thinking about it the right way and you're prepared for this game, you're not overlooking, this can be a great game for LSU to seal the deal.
Yeah.
Finish 10-2 and make your way to Atlanta.
Gosh, great.
So get it done. Get it done.
I have to say, Reagan, I think something else that we need to look at in this game is their wide receivers versus our DBs because they have have athletic wide receivers.
Anais Smith.
Yep.
Evan Stewart.
They've got athletic and really talented wide receivers, which our defensive backs have held their own. But when they were faced with really good, athletic, talented wide receivers, they struggled against Tennessee.
No doubt.
So that's another match we will watch. And look, I want to say this, they're starting a freshman quarterback. Obviously, Connor Weigman is going to be the guy for them in this game. As you said, I would prepare to stop the run, and then you got Perk. So just say, Perk, he's not a running quarterback, but go get him.
Yes.
He's not a go put pressure on him.
Perkins is going to have a big game.
Big game set Perkins up to solely put pressure on the quarterback. He's not trying to track down the quarterback because Connor Weigman is not a running quarterback. I don't think he's going to hurt us with his legs.
No.
He isn't like Hornsby over at Arkansas.
No.
So he's not going to hurt you with his legs. And, I mean, that's kind of why you saw what you saw against UAB. Like, you didn't see him have the amazing game that he had because he wasn't a running quarterback. But you still saw plays out of Perk. They just weren't on scramble plays where they were on him getting in the backfield, sacking the quarterback, and then making plays on other skill position players when they got the ball out to a running back or to a wide receiver behind the line of scrimmage.
Right.
Perk was there to blow it up. So have Perk put a lot of pressure on this freshman quarterback to make really good throws, even though he's got talented wide receivers, and stack up to stop the run. And I think LSU is going to have success. So that's definitely another thing I'm looking forward to is how they plan against this. I know it seems like you don't have to as much against this A&M offense, but I'm interested to see what Matt House does against this A&M offense, regardless of how anemic it has been all season.
Yeah. You need to look at that last comment there from, I believe that's Ryan. He's saying he thought maybe King was starting. I don't know. I haven't seen that.
I have not seen that either.
But
let's look it up.
If he is starting, obviously Haynes King is definitely more of a mobile quarterback.
Yep.
Not like Bryce Young though, or Hornsby over at Arkansas. Not as much of a threat, but definitely can move. I wouldn't be too worried about that because, again, like Zach said, when there was times when, the quarterback was rolling out, trying to extend plays, Perkins pretty well handled it, especially against Arkansas. So regardless, I think if you get pressure after the quarterback and maintain the running game, you're going to win this game handily. And Zach, I mean, Devin Achin may make some plays and may do some things and, hit some holes really well and maybe bust one here or there. But for the most part, our run defense has been solid, and I'm not too worried about him taking over the game and winning the game single-handedly. Like, I think our run defense is good enough to stop him to where they're going to have to do more than just run the ball and rely on him, and that becomes a problem. And you know what? If it's Weigman, if it's King, I mean, I don't mean to talk bad about the guys, but neither of them are. King has that awkward throwing, and it doesn't seem like he can get the ball downfield to his receivers. If King's playing, the passing game is not too much of a threat. I'll tell you that right now. He could not get the ball to his receivers. So I don't know if that change really makes a difference. I don't know if that really does. If you get pressure after the quarterback, stop the run, you're going to have a good night.
Yep. Let's see a couple comments, Ray, before we move on to our TA tools for success. If y'all have any questions for us, please throw it in the comments. #TellMeTA. We do it a little bit differently here. I know a lot of the other shows, they do #ask. I know Blake, obviously, his show, and others, they do different ways of getting the question asked. But here we do #TellMeTA. So if you have a question for us, throw it in there. #TellMeTA. We'll get to it before the show ends. But let's look at a couple comments before we move on. All right, Jared Addison said 38-16. They score early touchdown and trade field goals for touchdowns the rest of the night. Okay, I'm fine with that. They score early touchdowns. I'm totally fine with that. King's passing percentage is around 55%, better than I would have thought.
That is better now.
Better than I would have thought. Let's see. Ryan also said, is it just me or does the LSU offense run better without Booty?
I mean, you're playing UAB last week,
Yeah.
so let's keep that in mind.
What about Florida when they targeted Booty a lot, and he had over 100 yards in the game, and they scored 45 points,
and it was a great game. Yeah. So,
what about against Bama when you hit the little across the middle route, and he beat Elias Ricks
to pick up the 3rd and 7.
To pick up the 3rd and 7. Yeah, I wouldn't say that, Ryan. I mean, I kind of get where you're getting at. Maybe because some fans feel like LSU has to force feed him the ball, but really, I don't think
it hadn't felt like that at
early
all.
on. Yeah, but now, no, I do not.
It hadn't felt like they forced it to him at all.
Yeah, and I mean, I think Florida was a little bit forced, but
since then
it seems a lot more fluid now. So
they're just running their offense.
I would say early on, maybe so, Ryan. But even in the Florida game, when you really forced in the ball, I mean, they were great.
It went well. It went well.
So I get where you're getting at there, but anyways, all right, let's get to our TA tools for success. Reagan, I'll let you go first.
Tools for success. The defensive line needs to dominate this game. A&M's offensive line has not been very good. Take advantage of that. Stop the run, and use Micah Baskerville and Harold Perkins to create pressure, to stop plays behind the line of scrimmage. Because I guarantee you, Zach, they're going to have an extension of the running game through probably some screens to Evan Stewart and Anais Smith. Capitalize on those things with Perk and with Baskerville. Defensive front, dominate the game, and I think you'll be okay there. Jaden Daniels, trust your receivers, throw the ball downfield. It will open up the run game, and Josh Williams will have a big day. So open up the passing game, trust your receivers, defensive front, dominate the game, and you're going to have a good night in Kyle Field. Don't go into this game, though. I'll emphasize it again, looking to Atlanta. Take care of business first.
Since you went more on the field and with the physical, I will go more in the brain and with the mental. Mentally, you've got to, as we already have talked about and discussed, mentally, LSU, the players, the coaching staff, every single person that is going to be competing in this game as an LSU Tiger need to mentally treat this as it is the last game. Because, again, you could have all of your hopes and dreams completely shattered in this game.
Yep.
If you come into this game sleepwalking, thinking you're just going to walk over this Texas A&M team because they're 4-7, and you're supposed to beat them. You got to have the mentality right, and I trust Brian Kelly to have them ready. I think the Arkansas game was a little bit more of the weather and stuff like and the flu and stuff like the flu. I think that played a major factor in the Arkansas game.
Sure.
I think against UAB we saw more of what we should have seen. The mentality wise, they just completely shut down UAB and did what they needed to do. So that for me on the mental side of things. The only other thing I'll add on the physical side of things is, and I've said this in all the games that you have been expected to win and should win, but were labeled as quote unquote track games. And I think this is also kind of being labeled a quote unquote track game because of it being the weekend before the SEC championship and all the things we've mentioned. But do not turn the ball over. You've got to protect the football. That's another reason that I think we saw a different outcome in the Arkansas games, because you turned the football over twice. And you definitely saw where the scheming and the play calling was led up because of a desire to protect the football. You don't want to get in that situation, because obviously in that situation, you're going to make it more of a close game than you want. So protect the football. So you don't have to get into that situation if you turn the ball over a couple of times early. So protect the football. The second thing is on special teams, cover. Cover on special teams.
Because H plays.
Because H plays on special. Exactly.
He will make you pay.
He will make you pay. Kick the ball out of the end zone on kickoffs.
Please.
On punt returns.
Please.
Get down there on coverage and stop them from having to field a punt and get a chance for a return. You got to do it. You got to do it. Florida is now up 21-14.
Very nice. Very nice.
We got to watch. We're definitely going. That's what we're going to do.
We're going to go down and watch here. Yeah.
We were wondering, like, what are we going to do after this? Like,
we're going
to watch Florida State. Exactly. That's what we're going to do.
Zach, here we are, last regular season game. We're still talking about special teams.
Yeah, it's bad.
You can't.
No mental errors. That's
yes,
good.
No mental errors. You can't
allow
a team that you are supposed to beat. You can't allow them to have hope. You can't make major mistakes on special teams, turn the ball over, and give a team like this hope on their final game of the season.
Where they're already amped up for it.
Yeah.
And quote unquote want to piss in your cornflakes.
Yeah, block that kind of crap out.
Block it out.
And play the game.
Yeah.
All right, Zach. I think we need to hit a final break here. We'll come back, maybe get to a few more of your comments. If you got any other more questions, throw them here. But we're going to hit a quick break, and then we'll come back and we'll wrap the show up right after this.
Make sure you go follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, and Facebook, all at Tigers Avenue, for daily updates on the show and all things LSU sports. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure to click off and hit that subscribe button at Tigers Avenue. We broadcast all of our shows live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter.
All right, everybody. Right back here to finish and wrap this show up. Zach, we got any more comments that we need to touch on before we finish this thing up? I don't think we do.
I think we covered them all right before we went to break.
Good deal.
Oh, he said, Ryan did say, good thing I don't like cornflakes. I'm more of a Wheaties guy.
Eat your Wheaties.
Oh, here's a
Saturday morning. Eat your Wheaties,
so
boys.
Here is, I don't know, I'm about to go on a little rabbit hole here, but here's a little side note. I do not like cereal. Never have.
That's right.
Never have eaten.
That's right.
I don't think I've ever eaten it. I don't know why.
Never?
I don't like cereal. No.
You never even tried it?
Nope.
How do you know you don't like it? You ain't tried it.
I've tried it dry. I've not tried it with milk.
Oh
it's the milk.
gosh.
It's the milk. I don't like milk plain. I only can do chocolate milk.
But you don't taste the milk plain when you're eating cereal like that.
I can't do it. I can't do it.
I don't drink plain milk. I don't like it.
There's just some things I can't do. I mean, like when I was a kid and early in my teenage years, like I didn't like sushi, but then I tried sushi and I was like, God, this is good.
You need a bowl of cinnamon toast crunch, man.
Ugh. I can't do it.
You need to try it now.
Ugh.
I'm telling you, that's my favorite.
You put some like chip like product, like the crunchiness,
The golden boot pot.
and you put it in some milk and it gets all nasty and soggy. Like, I don't know.
He eats it like the daycare kids.
I don't eat it, period. So I don't really eat it. Well, hey, speaking of, here's the reason.
Oh, shoot.
Here's the exact reason I do not like it, Pooh Bear. Is because of those kids right there. I'm dead serious. Here's the reason. Look, when we were in church, we'd be in church, right? And then Mom would send me to go get the younger siblings. She's like, hey, go get Simon and Sierra from nursery. So I'm like, all right, bebop and this is also a reason why I do not like most of artificial cheese things. Like Cheetos, Cheez-Its, Goldfish, Whales,
Cheese puffs,
Cheeto Puffs. Oh, nasty. Here's the reason why.
What are we talking about?
It's the same reason with cereal. Same reason. I walk up in there every time I had to go get them.
In the nursery.
I walk up in the nursery and it's like they feed them like chickens. Like they're throwing cereal, like there's cereal on the ground. There's Cheeto Puffs on the ground. There's like goldfish on the ground, and them kids over here, and they don't chew it up, because they're kids, they're toddlers, and they're over here slobbering on it, pulling it back out. They got the Cheeto Puffs. They're like sucking on it, pulling it back out. And I just see this nasty, wet, saliva, soggy cereal and artificial cheese, and it's nasty. I can't do it. I'm scarred. I got PTSD from it. I see some nasty. I see Cheeto Puffs, and I can't help but think of some toddler just slobbering all over it. Pause. It's nasty. It's nasty. Same thing with the cereal. It's like, and the Sunday school teachers, the children's church, they don't help. They're like, they're out there throwing it like they're chickens, just throwing it on the ground, just here, toss it here, toss it there. Kids are coming over here, picking it up from the ground. It's just disgusting. I can't do it. It ain't easy being cheesy.
I don't know what church you going to. I ain't never seen
the same church.
I ain't never seen
because
them
you weren't old enough and you didn't
throw goldfish out like chicken feed.
Side note: cornflakes were invented to help people lose weight. Oh wow.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Wow.
Ryan's comment there. He ain't lying.
Good luck at it.
Yeah.
Eventually,
you're gonna have a tough time.
Eventually, all that is gonna get, obviously broke because I'm gonna have to deal with it.
Yeah.
I'm fine. I can change a diaper. It doesn't bother me. I can change a nasty, bad diaper, and it don't bother me. I can even handle, like slops, like drool and spit up. That's fine. But it's seeing the food just nasty. I can't do it. Okay, we got to get out of here.
I don't even know what we're talking about at this point. All right, guys.
It's because we started talking about
coming in here in the Tigers Avenue to talk about wet, cheesy foods.
Wet, cheesy foods and cereal.
LSU playing Texas A&M. Hope y'all enjoy the game tomorrow. Hopefully the Tigers will get the job done, and we can take on the Georgia Bulldogs 10-2 with our playoff hopes still alive. Take care of business tomorrow. Get it done. Appreciate all you interacting and commenting there at the last little bit on Zach's little
they want
moment there.
They want to pee in our cornflakes. Hey, I say that's fine as long as you don't take it out of the bowl, start slobbering on it, and then put it back in the bowl. Can't do it. Can't do it.
Anyways, so appreciate all your comments and your input into the game tomorrow. We'll come back on Monday to recap it all. We'll see you next time here in the Tigers Avenue. 5-Star here. Take us out. Peace.